Yo, what's up, guys? I don't know if you could hear me or not, so just make mention in the chat if you could hear me at all. I just want to make sure because if you saw Bob Vu on Brian's show on Wednesday morning, um, fucking the audio was all off. So let's just wait and see if anybody could hear me, and then I'll bring Bob on and we'll get the shit over with because Bob has family over, and I don't want to take away from his time with the family. So. Um, all right, I'm getting no responses. Well, look, 7 whole people are here. Oh, thanks for coming, guys. Fucking, I appreciate it. All right, well, hopefully this will get looked at afterwards. Loud, clear. I could hear you. Okay, fucking good deal. Boom, Bob Vu. What's up, Bob?
What's going on, everybody?
Mhm. Bob is here because of his annual Christmas drive. Why don't you
Yeah.
tell us about that, Bob?
For those that don't know, every year we do a fundraiser for Toys for Tots. This is an organization that's helped me grow, when I was growing up, when we first moved to the United States in 1993. And when I got my first gifts from Toys for Tots, I was like, "This is great! America is awesome. Everybody gets presents. We're here, we're poor, we're broke, but we get presents, and it's really cool." And then later on, as you grow up, you find out that's not really the case. Um, they can only help so many people. Certain areas, especially where I live, kind of rural. I'm outside of Atlanta. I'm not inside the city. And there are hundreds and hundreds of families that are signed up to receive presents. So the local church here is a buddy of mine that runs it, and he was asking if we were willing to donate some money to help the local organization. And I asked him how many kids there were. This was so we started this 3 years ago, and so 3 years ago he asked me if we can donate anything, and I said, "How many kids is it?" And he said, "Currently we have 300 families signed up to receive presents, and at the time they have raised like $300 or $3,500 at the time." And I was like, "What the hell are you guys buying them? If $10 a gift or whatever at the time." And then by the end of the week, they had 400 families signed up, and it's progressively getting more and more. And we have to understand that this year is probably going to be worse than the last 2-3 years, with the economy the way it is, and stuff getting more and more expensive for everybody. There are going to be more and more families that are going to go without a Christmas. So we did a fundraiser by giving away a snake the last 3 years, and we've been very successful. Last year we did $15,000. I've been so blessed that the reptile community has always gotten together in the time of need. And so this year, what we're doing is we're giving away. The winner will receive a male desert ghost pied visual double recessive male, and 2 female double hets, one female being a yellow belly double het. I will cover all shipping costs for this. And we will also be shipping possibly to Europe if you're a winner from Europe. I got Tom Wolf to waive his exporter fee, and I will be covering the export fee to get him out of the country, and he will be handling the fees to get him to whoever it is that wins if they are in Europe. I'm going to be working with someone else, and if the winner is in Canada, we will also be covering the fee for Canada and also Puerto Rico. So I'm going to try to get it to where anybody can participate. So guys, for a $10 admission, you can send it to my PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or Zelle, and we'll enter you in to win a pair or a trio of really cool animals. Unlimited entries on this. This is not like your regular raffles where it's a $2,000 value, so you're going to do 200 tickets or whatever. Because this is a charity event, there will be an unlimited amount of tickets sold. So keep that in mind. Again, it's for charity, so don't keep that in mind. I lied to you. But yeah, that's about it. That's the spill.
So basically, you could get it out to anybody internationally, right? It doesn't just have to be.
It doesn't have to be within the U.S. I'm able to export to almost anywhere. I ship through Michael Cole, so I can get an animal out to them. I'm sure Michael is willing to ship out. With one of my other packages that are going out, if it has to go to Japan or Korea or Thailand, Indonesia, anywhere like that. If it's going to go to anywhere in Europe, it's going to go through Tom Wolf and Scott Wilkinson. If it's going to go to Canada, I use Sam from Reptiles Express. I ship to Puerto Rico direct, so I'm gonna be able to get to pretty much to anybody out there.
All right. So what is that? 31 people here right now. Um, all right, everybody buy a fucking entry, right? It's $10, right? If
Right.
you're in this ball python community and you don't have $10, you have made some very wrong choices in your life. All right. So do me a favor and just do this for Bob. You don't think you're gonna hit last year's 15,000 again this year because of the economy and everything, right?
I'm gonna try. If we even get close, let's say we get to 13. I'm probably gonna just do another sale and sell some animals and cover the rest. We did it last year. We got to like 14 and change, and we just rounded it up. Actually, one year we got to 9,000 and some change the first year we did it. And Joe Kinney from Gulf Coast Exotics donated the rest. He covered the rest. So there's always someone willing to step up. I feel like at the end of the raffles, that somehow pushes us to the mark. But my goal is going to be 15,000 again this year, guys. I understand the economy is lower. The economy's bad. The sales haven't been great for everybody, ball python wise. But I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. If everyone can send me $3, if every active member that's actually on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, or on these chats, send me $10, send me $20, send me what you got. Like Chris, like you mentioned the other day, it's an extra 2 coffees or whatever. For the rest of us, it's 3 small rats, right? Whatever you're paying for small rats. So just say, and again, it's gonna make somebody's Christmas. I'll be honest. That's the goal. Don't do it for me. Do it for the kids. At the end of the day, I was one of those kids. I received now to estimate, I received like a $25 gift when I was growing up from Toys for Tots, and that stuck with me. I still have it with me. It sits next to my office desk. So it could really make some kids Christmas, honestly.
Bob, tell them how they could make the payment in PayPal and Venmo.
PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, and all of that. I will actually type it up in the chats now. And then, Chris, if you can post that up later for me, I would appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I'll put it up on the YouTube thing. I didn't even do that because I tend not to do these lives too often, these pop-ups. But yeah, I'll make sure I put that in the video description later on. Now, you said you were growing up poor, right?
Well, poor would be an understatement because my family came to America in 1993, and neither of my parents spoke English. So it's not like they can just go out and get a regular minimum wage job. My mom actually worked at a sewing factory, and my dad actually when he got his real job, he worked at the Marriott as a housekeeper, so it wasn't like as far as everyone thinks in this industry, I've heard before where I grew up rich and my parents just bought me all these snakes. That couldn't have been further than the case. Yeah, we came to the U.S. in 1993, and my parents worked very hard for us to go to college and all of that. And when we moved to Georgia, luckily, when we moved to Georgia, they have the Hope Scholarship that covers your full ride to college. So we've
Right.
been very blessed with that. Yeah, but we grew up, and we discussed this with my mom this weekend. It was kind of funny. We brought it up because when you're poor, you actually don't know you're poor. As
That was going to
kids.
be my question. Did you know that you were poor when you grew up?
No, as children, it's the most amazing thing. Poor children don't, well, depends how poor you are, I guess. We didn't realize we were poor because everyone around us was poor. Everyone's broke. So, we all lived in the same areas. We live in government housing. So everyone lived in the same area. And growing up, your parents aren't going to tell you, but we all live here because it's free, and the government allows us to live here. Your parents don't tell you you're broke. Your friends don't tell you you're broke because you're all broke. Everyone living in that same general area within the few blocks away from you, or everyone's just broke. So you don't know that you're poor growing up.
Yeah.
That's why I thought everything was free in America. I was like, man, this is amazing. You come out here and Toys for Tots thing just comes and gives you presents, and it was the most amazing thing when we were growing up.
Yeah, I didn't notice that we were poor until I went to a friend of mine's house that wasn't poor.
And the dishwasher works.
The dishwasher works. They had their own rooms. They were fucking and the rooms were huge. Like the bedroom, like I remember going into this kid's bedroom and I'm like, holy fuck, like my whole house fits in this bedroom,
No bunk beds. What the hell?
I went home and I was just like, Dad, you got to fucking step it up a little bit, man. Like fucking, you're killing me, man. Like we grew up, you know, just rich enough to live with other middle class white people who are just really the worst, right? Right, when it comes to anything, because
Yeah.
fucking yeah, you know, they all wanted to be the black kids because the black kids were so much cooler, right? So fucking the black kid in the area was just as poor as us, but fucking, you know, he was still cool. Listen, everybody, I don't mean to be a dick, but Creative Scales and Arvin, don't donate here because number one, YouTube takes half of it anyway, and you know, it's don't donate here. Go to Bob's Cash App or Venmo or whatever and donate there. I just listed it here, so all the shit is here. Uh, so just you know, I appreciate it though. Don't think I don't appreciate it, but fucking, you know, don't put it here. Like fucking, that would be like donating on one of Bob's lives. Like Bob don't need the fucking money. I don't need the money. I don't want to say I don't need the money because on the other shows you could fucking donate as much as you want. All right, but for this one in particular, send it over to Bob's Cash App. Now you're still killing it on sales, right? I mean, not
Uh,
killing it, but compared to Joey in Alabama, who lives with his mom, you know, and is working out of her basement, you're killing it right now, right?
I feel like, yeah, compared to the general market consensus where everyone's crying about basically the sky falling, yeah, we're doing pretty well. Even the shows, like a lot of people are talking about how terrible the shows are. I mean, we're still going to the shows and doing well. We have a really good following of people that just show up to the show to see us. And I promote pretty heavily before we go to a show. I'll post and let everyone know on Instagram and all of that before we get to a show so that people can come out, you know. And I feel like that's so important. Once you've built your fan base or your following, um, I don't want to say fan base. Fan base sounds so weird, like you have fans or something. You're following your people that follow your projects or work the same projects as you, or have been following what you've been doing through the years. Post about it and let them know that you're going to be at a certain show. Because I'll be honest, some of these promoters are so bad about promoting their own shows. I will post about it or message like very good customers about it, and they'll be like, "Well, we didn't even know there was a show coming to town." You know,
Right,
so they don't
right.
even know to come out to see you. So
Mm.
post about it and let these people know to come see you, and prep some pre-sales. You know, if you're going to go into a show with $5,000 in pre-sales, you step in with a different type of mentality. You step in with a different pep in your step, and you're just going to go in more excited. But if you walking in and you're already in for $1,500 for hotel tables and all that, and you have zero pre-sales lined up, and you're like, man, I could go in the negative in this show. Your mood changes. You're not really as energetic. You're not really in that sales mode. I feel like I go to Tinley, I'm always on it because I have so many pre-sales for Tinley. I come in with a giant box of just stuff ready to deliver, and I'm just on my game because I'm just ready to make some money. Um, but even the online sales have been really good. I know people have different opinions of Darian's morph day. You know, it was like the sales day where everyone did. I did the exact same thing everyone else did. I'll be honest. I did even less than some of the other people. I did a 15% off sale across the board on my whole entire inventory. And I'll be honest with everybody can be honest about this point. If you have an animal that you posted on the table for $1,000, someone comes to your table and says, I have $850 in my hand, the majority of us are probably going to take it. You know,
Yeah.
you be honest with yourself. 15%, you're most likely going to take that sale. So you're going to cut a 15% sale, and we did great. I'll be honest. I sold 30 something animals that first day I posted that sale. I sold 30 something animals. That following Tuesday, I shipped out 106 animals.
Mm.
So yeah, just from that sale. So I mean, it's been really, really good still. Yeah, is it not? Is it the same as last year? Of course not. Is it the same as 2021 when the market went crazy, when everyone got free money from the government? Of course not, you know, but has it been better than clocking in anywhere else or doing anything else I can imagine? Like going
Right.
back to my corporate insurance job? No, I wouldn't trade this for the world still.
Now, what do you have though to say to the people like you and Justin and Brock and Wilbanks that say, you know, of course you're going to say that the sky isn't falling. you guys are the top guys. You have to keep the buzz about it alive, right? So what do you have to say to them? Because, believe it or not, this last year, even with crappy sales, I've seen more people make a living at this than any years before, even 2022 and 2021. So, what do you have to say to those people that are going to say, of course, you have to say the sky's not falling. You're one of the top guys in the country. Of course,
Right.
you're going to say more.
So I have a Patreon of about 100 members, and about there, I want to say maybe at least 20 members are at a scale where they're going to make over $100,000 a year doing this, and they're still part of our Patreon to try to improve that. I have guys like Brian Carter and Nixon, and all these guys are doing 100 grand a year in sales. Um, so again, 100 grand is a lot of money. That is full time money. You could literally just be doing this full time, but some of them still keep a day job, and it keeps them still excited to do this. And I feel like for the guys that are up top, Justin's and Billy's and all of this, yeah, they're gonna do great because they have this huge following that they built over years and years. The few people, or I say few people, the majority of the people who are struggling right now or complaining about, well, I bought in at this price and it went to this price. The majority of those people are COVID buyers. I'll be honest with you. 2020 to 2023, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, every year there's new people coming in. So there has to have been people that came in those years. But because they bought in so high, you bought a snake at $10,000 and you're watching someone else sell it right now for $3,000. It really sucks. I did the same thing. I bought snakes for $10,000 3 years ago. It really sucks. But that's just the economy of snakes. And you have to understand that we are in a different type of industry than anything else. I am selling you an item that you will use to produce more of that item and undercut me. So because you have to undercut me, and I understand why you undercut me. I can post something at $5,000 and sell it, and you can't because you don't have the following and you can't export worldwide. So now you have to post that at $4,000, and I understand that, and I understand the economy, all the logistics behind it. However, for the bulk of the people that have been doing this long enough, this has happened multiple times.
Yeah.
And I have had to been the person to say, the sky is not falling. And I've posted about this dozen times on Facebook about people complaining about the market dying. The market was dying, Chris. What year did you start doing ball pythons?
2000.
You did it in 2000. Oh, so you've been through
Yeah.
three
I've been,
more tanks than I have.
I've been through about 6 of these so far.
6 of these things, yeah. So I bought my first real ball python in 2007. I bought a pastel in 2007. My first real ball python was like 2000 and I think 2004 or 2003, one of those years that goes in normal. But my first clutch was in 2009, and 2009 was a fine. Blah 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 blah. 2012 we hit a shitstorm where I actually managed to buy a ton of snakes because the prices were so cheap. And everyone already told me the market's gone to shit. No one's buying snakes anymore. They can't sell snakes for $30,000 anymore. Banana ball pythons in 2013 were $30,000 each,
Yep.
$35,000 each. The very next year they were $5,000. The very next year they were $1,000. So the market went to crap, right? It was from 2012 to 14. No one wanted to invest, and I was like, well, I got money, so I'm gonna buy snakes. So I bought a ton of snakes between 12 and 14. The market went back up in 15. We were smooth sail in 15, 16. I went full time in 16. 2016, I went full time. I quit my day job, went to full time. 17, 18, 19 were shit. I'll be honest. Those were when the economy went to crap and you're producing snakes that are worth less than half of what they were selling for last year. But I still made more money every single year that we moved along because as long as you buy a male, let's say you buy this male for $10,000. By next year, as long as he produces when he's under 2 years old, as long as he produces, even if his babies drop to $3,000 each, as long as you produce 3 clutches, okay, that will single male produce 3 clutches the following year, you're producing on average 21 eggs. Okay, if it's a codominant male, 21 eggs, you're going to produce roughly 10 codominant babies at $3,000 each. You still made 30 grand.
Yeah.
That's if you only reproduce the exact same animal without any new genes in it or didn't make hets. So you can't lose. Even if the animal you bought for $10,000 is selling for $3,000 next year, you still produced 30 babies out of that and still 21 babies and still produce 10 more of exactly what the dad was, and you're still going to make money. So as long as you're able to dial in your husbandry and get eggs out of what you bought, you will not lose in this industry. I think it's a lot of it is right now is happening is people are getting a little rushed. They bought babies in 2021. They're just now pulling eggs. They're in for a lot of money. They didn't have much of a plan, right? Because when we all buy in, we buy a bunch of random stuff. I bought, 30 of males and 30 of this.
Right.
And you're like, man, I'm in pretty deep and I haven't made any money. So you're panicking. Your wife is on your ass about it because you spent 40 grand so far and you've made $800 back so far. And you're deep in rats. After work at 5 o'clock, you got to go clean rats. You spend an hour in there. You went to a show this weekend and you only made $1,800, but the show cost you $1,200 to be there. So it sucks. And so all of this stuff just keeps piling on, but there is the light of the end of the tunnel. You will produce better stuff. Your babies are going to come of age. The babies you produce will start to come of age. It takes time. It's again, the promises of YouTube, I feel like is a big detriment to the industry. I love Miguel Garcia. I've been good friends with him a long time, but those YouTube videos that he pushed out in 2021, 22, talking about how much money he was making, sounded really good. But Miguel is also top notch. He knows what he's doing. He invested well. He's a businessman. He's a true businessman. But for the majority of people coming in, they didn't drop $250,000 like Miguel did,
Right.
To make back that $250,000. They came in and bought pastel yellow bellies. They bought a albino because it looks pretty. They bought one caramel albino because it's cheap, and stuff like that. Instead, Miguel came in, called Justin, called whoever it is, and then just invested. So of course he made $500,000 in a year, or whatever, or $1 million. And so those videos hyped people up so much. They're like, this guy's only been in for 2 years and he made $500,000. So I think those videos kind of fast tracked people to where they're like, okay, I can come in 2 years, make $500,000. I'm doing this full time.
Yeah. Well, Ralph Davis did the same thing prior to Miguel.
Right. Ralph Davis was the first Miguel without YouTube.
Right. Exactly. But Ralph Davis was in the days where he'd show up to Daytona in a Corvette with 9 girls in the car.
I remember it was girls on both arms coming out.
Yeah, it was insane. It was just fucking insane. And back then, I remember like I spent $5,000 on my first albino, right? And like to see albinos at like $90 wholesale, is fucking heartbreaking. And the albino thing took just as much of a dive. It went from 5,000 to 1,000 to 700 to 300 to $90 now. Did
you make money off that $5,000 animal?
No, because it fucking died. Okay. So that sucked. But we made money off Stranger. We made money off all the other big morphs that we bought during the old eyeballs days. So it's just and even now, I just post like throwback videos of what we produced, and what we produced 5 years ago is better than what a lot of these YouTube jackoffs are showing off now. So I think that YouTube, I don't want to say it's a detriment to shit, but it kind of has been a detriment to the hobby because of what people perceive the lifestyle to be once you buy 2 snakes and you get 7 eggs that year. I mean, people make it look like it's an overnight thing, but you've been doing this since when? 2007, you said?
My first clutch was 2009.
2009. My first clutch was 2002, and it was we didn't even know we were breeding. We because back then we cohabbed like 2 snakes and fucking as long as it looked cool in the display, we were happy with it. And then what happened was we just woke up to a clutch of eggs. We did the same thing with berms. We woke up to 7 clutches of berm eggs back then.
Isn't that the detriment to reptiles though? Is how easy it is to just throw 2 animals together and get babies.
Well, the thing that I hate nowadays is that people will be like, I'll talk to all these, and I'm not going to say it's all women, but it's especially women, okay, who have like some dumb company that they didn't even LLC or register yet, and they're like, yeah, I had 7 clutches this year, It was no big thing. I didn't put anything great together, but I had 7 clutches, and I'm like, why the fuck did you have 7 clutches of shit? Because if anything, that's just killing off those animals. Even if you have 100% hatch rate, they're going to be bought for fucking Cobra food, or they're going to be head for freezer, right? I mean, people are just putting together dog shit and expecting to sell, to make 100 grand the first year, and you're not going to make 100 grand a year off fucking codoms. I mean, because that was the rule back then, right? In 2003, 2004, it was get as many codoms as you can and jam it into one animal.
Yeah, how many people produce a bunch of gray snakes back then
Yeah,
because they're like,
seriously, yeah.
I'm gonna add all these 5 genes and I'm gonna breed these to this 3 gene animal to add as much in there as possible so that I can use this 8 gene male and breed it to all my normals. That was like the game plan. Everybody did. And I'll be honest, I fell into that trap when I first started in 2011, 12, 13. I mean, I bought a spider, lesser, pinstripes. I bought all of those things, trying to just add all these codoms together. And now people have to realize, well, why are recessives holding more value than codoms? I'm like, well, because I can't breed that male to 3 females and produce 21 babies and 10 of the exact same animals. I'm going to sell at a third of the price next year. With recessives, you can't do that. So that helps keep the prices a little bit higher. So more people are starting to gravitate towards, I'm just going to buy double recessives and triple recessives because it's harder to reproduce. It's harder for, for people to copy your projects. If you're working on very specific niche project, it's very hard for people to catch up once you've already made the triple recessive or something like that. And it's been holding value a lot better. We're selling recessives still at $4,000 or $5,000 on some of the higher end projects. And I do see a bounce back from this because I'll be honest, I've talked to a lot of farmers. I've talked to a lot of large facilities. Amir, old school. Yeah, he called everybody. Amir, I want to say Amir might have called every single large breeder in the country. And he told everybody, back off your breeding. And a lot of them are listening. He says, I need everybody to go below 500 clutches. And then when he called me, Amir called me one day, and I was, that's strange. We don't really talk. And he goes, Bob, I need you to drop below 500 clutches. And I said, Amir, I don't think you understand the scale of my operation. I'm not one of those, I couldn't handle 500 clutches here. I wouldn't even know what to do with the baby. I'll be honest, with 500 clutches. And so we chat about it. But he caught a lot of these large farms. I call them farms because that's essentially what they are. And it managed to convince quite a few of them to do half the production they've been doing before. Because he told me he has over 1,000 breeding female ball pythons at his facility, and he didn't breed any of them this year.
Right. Well, yeah, it's that's the case. But then a guy like Will Banks is producing 3,000 clutches a year.
That's Will Banks is a special case. Right?
but what do you average per year?
So I don't know an average. We've changed it every single year. This year, I'll be honest, I did 300 clutches. And next year we're probably going to do about 250 to 260.
So even you, with all the success you had, is still under 500 clutches a year.
I don't feel like I would be as successful with 500 clutches. I'll be honest. I think I felt like 300 was more than enough for me this year. It was a lot of work. And some of the clutches were just, and I'll be honest, I could have cut 30 of those clutches out and made almost the same amount of money because I did a lot of like stuff where I was like experimenting with pos double heads and pos triple heads before genetic testing them or stuff like that. I was trying to prove out some dinker projects that didn't pan out and stuff like that. So I honestly, 250 clutches, I would have still made the same amount of money. I would have been just as happy. And I feel like I'll be even happier with 250 clutches. I'll be more excited about every single clutch. I feel like, again, Mike Wilbanks, I love Mike Wilbanks. I've watched his video since he did Ball Pythons 101. He did all those old school videos. You remember there was a video, God, I killed a clutch because of him, actually. He did a video where he told people he can cut the clutch open at day 45 and called it the window. And he would peek in every single day to watch the snakes develop and how cool it was. So I did the exact same thing and I killed an egg. I did the same thing. I was peeking in this egg every day, watching the colors develop, and it molded up so bad. And then they got all like green and pussy. And so I've never done it ever since. But yeah, he used to do these videos, Ball Pythons 101, explaining the banana genetics. He did all this stuff. So I love Mike Wilbanks. But I feel like at that level, 3,000 clutches or whatever, you are literally routinely just grabbing eggs, throw it in vermiculite, throw it in an incubator. When it hatches, it hatches. Who gives a shit? Because you have hundreds of clutches in the incubator hatch. Me, I go check the incubator at midnight some days. Be like, did anybody hatch? You know, peeking in there looking for babies to come out, because I still get excited about projects and stuff like that. I'm not saying that Mike doesn't care about the animals by any means, but at that level, you have so many hatching. It's hard to get excited every single day for babies to hatch. You know?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you my Wilbank story real quick. Is that we were gonna get into the highway project like early on. I mean, early on when they were, you know, $2-3 a piece, and I called Mike and I was like, yeah, we want to do, you know, 3 highways from you, you know, a male and 2 females. And he was like, man, I wouldn't do that, Chris. You know, he's like, I keep your money and spend it on something else, because you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a yellow belly and a gravel. He's like, I've been doing this for 20 years longer than you, and you know, I can't tell the difference. And that was like a $10,000 sale that the guy that could have just said, sure, Chris, go ahead, you know, but he told me, he was like, just keep your money, man, you know. So I always respected him a little bit more, you know, because he was willing to do that, you know. And that was back in the day where, I mean, like Brock and all those other guys would just be taking stupid amounts of money from people, you know, and just not care. Say, hey, you bought it, it's your problem, you know. But Mike didn't do that for me, so I'll always, you know, go back to Mike for any shit.
Have you talked to Brock? Have you talked to Brock recently?
I talked to Brock maybe a month ago, because somebody was at Tinley, and they must have not known the history of me and Brock, because me and Brock didn't like each other for a while. And she was video chatting with me, and she's like, look who's here, he wants to talk to you. And she just handed the phone to Brock. And me and Brock are just looking at each other for like 5 minutes, right? And I'm like, what, why did you call me, Brock? And he's like, I don't know, some lady just handed me the phone. And talking to Brock, he was 20 times or a complete 180 of
Is he a totally different person than he was?
Absolute different person than he was 5-10 years ago. Totally different.
10 years ago, if people, for the people that don't know Brock from 10 years ago, Brock would drive from his house to a local cafe to use their internet, to get on Bush League and BP.net just to talk shit. He would go on there and literally troll the internet and talk shit, because people hated him back then. 10 years ago, people hated him. Everyone hated Brock Wagner, but you have to buy from him because he's the only one with certain genes.
He's the only guy that got the stuff.
You have to buy from him. But people hated him back then. And I didn't know Brock like that, obviously. Back then, I was literally nobody back then. And as I gotten to know him more and more and more, and I'm like, why do people hate this guy? He's the nicest guy in the world. Him and his wife are the nicest people in the world. And I always gravitated to him. I always loved Brock. And then people just tell me, God, he's such an asshole. And I'm like, I never saw it. And he actually sat me down one day to explain it to me, that because he was so defensive about people not liking him, that he became even a bigger asshole to try to overcompensate for and have to battle these people online constantly to protect his image and stuff like that. And, you know, so the Brock Wagner that everyone sees today is so different, you know. So for people who haven't talked to Brock in 10, 15, 20 years because you hated him back then 20 years ago, he's a totally different person. And honestly, if you told me like, oh, Brock said this to you, I would never believe it, because, you know, he's such a nice guy in person now, and his wife brings cookies to all the shows, so that's also awesome. So,
well, the first time I met Brock was it was at Daytona, right? And I walked up to his table, and he was talking to these people, right? And then the people left, and I walked up, and I was like, hey, what's up, Brock? I'm Chris. And he's like, those motherfuckers I was just talking to, those fucking people are doing shit, you know? And I was like, whoa, that means that when I leave, he's going to say the next person, he's like, Chris Eames a fucking cum stain on the fucking, you know, snake business and all this other. So that was the Brock that I knew. But at the same time, we also bought from Brock. But like, we brought our first banana clowns from Brock, you know, at fucking $3 or $4 a piece, you know. So, you know, everybody had to buy him. But I saw him on on MJ's podcast, and then I spoke to him, last month. Completely different guy, and I think that comes with age, though. Because as you get older, you're just like, what the fuck are we talking shit about each other for? Like fucking.
He's got teenage daughters. He's got kids now to take care of. He don't have time to get on the internet and talk shit to people, calling him for ruining any project or whatever. He just understands you do it for the love of the animal. You do it because there's money in it, and you do it, to provide and for your family and progress some of these projects. They don't have time to sit here and talk to us. And again, you're going to be sitting there online. Again, I understand this too now, because I used to do this all the time. You're sitting there online for 30 minutes talking shit to somebody on Facebook that might really not be back in the industry 6 months from now. They're going to be selling their collection in 6 months anyways. Why are you spending so much time talking shit to this person and trying to defend your stance about anything, about a project, about anything? Because I used to do that. I used to defend a project. Like, if I love a project and you shit on my project, I'm going online and I'm going to defend my project and talk blah, 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 or a friend or whatever it is. I defend a friend or whatever it is for 20, 30 minutes. And then 6 months from now, this dude's selling out his collection anyways.
Right.
And I just wasted my time for no
reason.
Dude,
I talk so much shit about people that I actually type my post out in Word first to make sure there's no spelling mistakes, to make sure
that's funny.
And then I cut and paste it once I know it's perfect into the shit talking groups. And because the last thing I need is like, oh, that fat fuck can't even spell the difference between there and there, so yeah. So just so you know, if I ever shit talk you, I put tremendous amount of time into that post in different programs to correct it before I fucking put it out there, and I think that that's what people should really start doing, because a lot of these people, when they're talking shit, you could tell they're like fucking white trash, fucking, like fucking no education motherfuckers. And, the thing is that now I'm at the point, and I'm pretty sure you're at the point, where when you find out that, like let's say somebody just dumped 80 grand into this hobby, right? And you look at them, and after 5 minutes, whether they're going to be here in 3 years or not. And they're like, I dumped 80 grand in this. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would have did that.
Yeah, so the goal for our Patreon, I don't want to keep plugging it, but the goal for our Patreon, we have some Patreon members on right now watching. But so we know the success and fail rate of the industry. However, we also know there are certain things you can do to increase your odds or make your chances better, better business decisions and stuff like that. Again, because I've gone through all of them. I've failed at a lot of them, and that's how we learned. But between me and Josh Jackie, everyone knows him as Josh Jackie, we have enough experience to make this thing work. So the goal for our Patreon is that all of our Patreon members have a better chance than everybody else at surviving being in this industry long term. Because I've watched some great people. Watched some people that I've become great friends with come in, drop 80, 100 grand, like you said. And then a year later, 2 years later, they're like, I'm out. There's no way for me to do this, blah, 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 blah. And they're just out. And we're like, well, why does this keep happening? So I actually had to sit down with my Patreon member the other. I actually had to call him on the phone and tell him to stop buying animals. Right. He bought his first ball python 6 months ago, and now he has 50. I told him, I was like, let's slow down. Let's make sure you can take care of those 50 for the next 6 months. Show that you can do it for 6 months. And I don't want to treat him like a child or anything, but I'm like, dude, coming home from work and taking care of 50 animals, it's a lot of work. And then you're going to get tired of it, and you're going to slack off for 2 weeks, or your wife's going to want more time. You go on vacation for 2 weeks and you didn't change waters for 2 weeks, and it becomes a month, becomes 2 months. So it becomes a chore. And I want you to make sure that you can get it into routine, that you love the species, you love the reptiles enough to continue to do this. And sometimes it's very difficult, especially if they're good customers and you tell them to stop buying snakes from you. That is a difficult decision, but we had to do that with a few, because our goal is so that our Patreon members survive and continue to do this long term, so they don't have to sell out their $100,000 collection for 20 grand, because that's essentially what they're going to have to do, because they built that collection around what they like. So whoever buys that collection is going to have to just buy all this random stuff that they liked, with 4 PVC racks, 1 melamine rack, and 1 ARS rack. And someone's going to have to absorb all of that. So they're going to give you 20 grand instead of your 80 grand that you spent, and we don't want to see that happen to anybody that invested heavily with us. We know that's going to happen. It's going to happen to somebody. I'd rather it not be anybody that I associate with, on a daily basis.
Yeah, I mean the videos that are being put out on YouTube these days are uh, 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 yeah, 90% of them are crap and you got to weed through them. But 10% uh give a lot more like an insight into the industry, right? As opposed to I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Mojo Pythons? They were
God,
they were two pilots that fucking put like 100 grand into this, right?
I
And
remember. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
their videos, they would be fucking throwing money to the strippers at strip clubs and fucking doing all this shit. They were gone in fucking 5 months. Okay.
Hey, look at Gabriel. Spent $1 million
Oh,
in
Gabriel
this.
spent $1 million. Yeah.
Didn't have the right mentor. Honestly, I didn't even know if he liked reptiles enough to spend it's $1 million. I mean, $1 million is $1 million. But do you even know if this kid loved reptiles? I mean, you're 16 years old. You love everything. Anything
Right.
cool you love. I love yo-yos at that age, like you're 16, 15 years old. We're not picking on pilots. It just happens those guys were pilots. Um, but no, and again, what were the twins? You remember the twins that came in, spent hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars?
they spent like 300 grand. Yeah, I remember them
They're
too.
out, so a lot of these guys come in with this, they have a lot of money, they come in and they dump it all. And again, I know guys that cash out their 401ks or
Right.
sell houses and stuff like that. And it's like, it's fine if they want to do that as full as investment. Look at Miguel; it worked out great for him, stuff like that. And I'll be honest, in 2016, when I went full time, I spent my whole year's worth of salary the year before that on snakes. So I spent $70,000-$80,000 back then on snakes, and I'm glad it worked out. So. But yeah, I'm watching some of these guys, and we have to wrangle them in. Try to be a good, not just a salesman, but be a good friend to some of these people and tell them, hey man, 50 is a lot of animals, and then 100 is a lot of animals.
Yeah.
And 100 animals, then you got 30 clutches, then you have 200 animals, 300 animals. Is so many animals. And it's not so much that it's just like, oh, you have to feed these animals. It's not, because the feeding, yeah, I get it, $300 a week on feeding is expensive or whatever. But the time that you can't give up, the certain people, especially if you have full-time job, to come home from work and spend 2 hours cleaning snakes and rats, the amount of time away from your family is such a big thing, that sometimes we, especially as if you're building these relationships, I tell people all the time, the biggest part of this industry is building good relationships. And again, that's what has made me successful in this industry. But is that if you have that good relationship, you have to be able to sit down with somebody and tell them to slow down.
Right. And how do you fight the I don't know if fight is the best word, but you can't stop selling to people that are going to be your competitors in 2 years. Right?
I
It's
feel
like
like, God, sometimes I feel like certain people don't want to sell me snakes, and I can tell. I'll inquire, and they don't. I can tell they don't, their response. They don't want to sell it to me. And I understand that at my level of competition, it's like, you sell me a snake, I can probably reproduce that snake again within a year. So I understand that part. But for my customers, and especially my friends, when I say friends, is like, you've bought enough snakes from me. We chat for 6 months. We are friends. I don't view people as competition too much. I feel like I have a very niche market. I already have my market. I have a very good following, and I collect new customers all the time because I go to shows. I'm pretty dialed in with social media, so we have new customers all the time. If a customer of mine no longer becomes a customer because they have built a big enough collection, and I'll be honest, guys like Josh Jackie, guys like my buddy Daniel Wages, that's local. Certain guys will no longer be your customers because they built a good enough collection. I'm okay
yeah,
with that. I'm happy for them. They build a good enough collection. They no longer need me. Very once a year, 2 years, I might have an animal cool enough for them to trade at that point. I know I'm not going to make any money off of them anymore, but it's okay. I'm going to replace them with 2 or 3 other people. Or
right.
they're going to, and every time you build up a good enough customer like that, they have already told other friends of theirs how good of a person you are, or salesman you are, or mentor you are. You're for every one person you build up, you're going to collect 2 or 3 more of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like you shouldn't view so much of a competitive stance. However, at a certain level, there are guys who are your competitors, right? I consider Justin not just a friend and a colleague, but a competitor, because we are chasing certain projects together. Me and Miguel are friends, we are colleagues, but we are also competitors. We are all on this, I want to say, on the same field, because Justin is like in this stratosphere up here. Because everyone can agree that Justin is like the top dog of the ball python industry. He's a savant of this industry. But still a competitor. But everyone else, we're friends. We're still friends, and I just want to see everyone do well. And if you get replaced and you're no longer a customer and you're a colleague and you're a competitor, that's fine too. Because you've already probably introduced me to 2 or 3 other people that have replaced you.
Right, right. Well, I remember 7 or 8 years ago, Josh, uh, Josh Jackie bought, some bananas from Eyeballs. And fucking 3 years later, when fucking Josh Jackie was doing so fucking like I was so happy that the dude was doing great. Of course, that was at the time where I was like, oh God, I hate this shit now. But still, it was nice to see somebody that you sold to, a couple of years prior, making this thing a real, a real business. And Josh has since hit a level that was way above what Eyeballs was,
Yeah, I
and
consider Josh an equal or a competitor to me now, not in a competitive sense because we've been together, but his goal was always to outsell me at a show, and he's
right,
told me that, and I'm okay with that. I'm happy to hear him say that, because that's a compliment to me, and he's always wanted to outsell me. And this year at a show in Atlanta, in my hometown, he outsold me, and I had this just wrench in my stomach of this feeling of jealousy. And I remember this. I'm like, oh my god, this Josh just whooped my ass at my own hometown show. Then I was so happy. At the same time, we actually ended up throwing a dinner party at my house, and right afterwards at the show, we have a pool party, and we're just throwing this huge party, and just so happy because at the same time, if he outsold me, that means we both just made a ton of freaking money.
right, right,
Yeah, just because he outsold me doesn't mean I made any less money. I still made 30 grand that weekend. Just so
right,
happened he made 35. Like, so we both made a ton of money. So it's not like, okay, yeah, Josh outsold me, so I had a shit show. No, Josh outsold me. That means we both had amazing shows. So that's how you need to view it, instead of like, man, I can't believe Josh sold more snakes than me. That means I had a really bad show. No, that means he did really well. That we
right,
both
right.
did really well. We both made a ton of money. And I feel like just being able to support your friends through certain like milestones like that, and in Tinley, man, he crushed it in Tinley. Every time I went to his table in Tinley, it was a freaking party there. People were loud, excited about the stuff he brought. And every time I go over there, we're like booming it up because he's just crushing it in Tinley. He crushed it in Tinley. And then right after Tinley, he crushed it again. Where did we go? I mean, he had like 6 shows back to back where he just crushed it. And he's doing amazing.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was great. Well, when I was selling to him, he was still doing the like the cow semen thing. And I
Yeah.
was just like, this guy is fucking brilliant for even thinking this fucking stupid idea, right? And he's just a smart dude overall, So so I'm one of his big fans, fucking Josh Jackie. He does have to get better internet though. His internet
Oh
is
my God. So we do Patreon calls like every 2, 3 weeks. We do a Patreon call, and he does it in his car. And we're like, what the hell is happening? He has to drive from his house to Walmart to have
yeah,
internet to get
yep,
on our Patreon call. So he's putting in a lot of effort to do it.
right, right. All right. Well, Bob, I've kept you long enough. Let's just go over the reason that you're here right now. Where
Yeah,
there
I'm
was a
gonna do a
couple.
quick reminder for everybody. We have 40 something people watching, and we're gonna have people rewatch this hopefully. We're doing a Toys for Tots fundraiser event. The winner that will receive a male desert ghost pied, visual double recessive, female double het desert ghost pied, and a yellow belly double het desert ghost pied. The information is here posted: PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. And the reason I don't use my PayPal, guys, just so people don't think like we're like this scammy situation. My PayPal is a business PayPal, and if I have 100 transactions of $10 transactions in, they're going to ask a bunch of questions. This is my wife's PayPal. We use it for all of our charity events, all of our fundraisers. If you see a koala on there, it's because we use this exact PayPal for the Australia wildfire fundraiser in 2020. Besides the point, but yes, for a $10 donation, you'll be entered in to win for a chance to win this raffle. There's unlimited amount of chances, so you buy as many tickets as you want, and that's it. We appreciate everybody, and Chris, we appreciate your platform.
My whole goal is to raise more money for this than Brian did. I think we raised $1,000 on Brian's show, right, or close to it.
Yeah, but out of that $1,000, the 80% was you and him. So that was we ended up doing like $1,300 off of that event after.
Oh, don't tell me that. Fuck that guy. All right.
Yeah, but
all
I mean,
right,
but the majority of you, it was you and him. Yeah.
Right. But okay, so but still, we gotta beat Brian. Come on. Chris isn't gonna be beat from fucking some Bronx Puerto Rican. All right, so step it up, guys.
So there's 40 of you guys in here. Each of you send me $30. We're already at our goal.
Boom, we're already there. That's all you got to do. Yeah. $30, people.
Yeah, $30. Bob, maybe it's probably even 25 because someone already sent me $150. So we're already getting closer.
I think that was Jen Kate. So good
we
fucking
appreciate
deal.
it, Jen.
Yeah, Jen is fucking awesome anyway.
Yeah, Jen is awesome. I haven't seen her in a while. I see Jen every year. Usually when I go down to Tampa or Orlando or some of those shows. I haven't done those in a while. So now I think I only see Jen in Daytona. It's probably the only place I see Jen anymore.
Yeah, well, because I don't think Jen goes out. No, Jen only did 30, so we at least got 180. Right, so we're good.
We're in for 180, guaranteed. Honestly, I haven't looked through my phone. I just saw the notification pop up. So awesome stuff. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate you.
And whoever did the 150, fucking thanks.
We appreciate you guys
too. So, Bob, get back to your family. You got a ton of people
glass
there.
Of wine left, and we appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you for coming, man. So I will talk to you in a couple of days. All right, Bob?
Yep. Text me. Yep. Thank you.
All right. You got it, brother. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. That was Bob Vu. This is all the information here to donate to his Toys for Tots thing. And listen, I hate children, right? But fucking I hate it more when there's a bunch of adults around that can make the kids' fucking Christmas a little bit better. Because Christmas is the time of year that, you kind of know that you're poor. All right. So fucking help a kid out and fucking help them not be poor for fucking 1 year. All right, guys, thanks for coming. I'm just going to end this shit. This is a pop-up live. We don't do anything fancy here. We just do, normal bullshit. So I want to thank Bob again, and I want to thank all of you guys for showing up. Again, fucking donate. There's a fucking hobby to where everybody seems to always be asking for money, right? And I know that because you guys really helped me out this year. So, if you can, just do a little more and donate to Bob's thing and help him maybe hit the 15 grand again. All right, guys, we'll see you again in a week. All right. 15 minutes contest starts December 1st at 8 p.m. That's when I'm going to make the webpage live to vote for your favorite 15 minutes of lame contestant. Also at 9 o'clock that night, we'll be simulcasting both on Leviathan Snakes channel and the Snakes and the Fat Man channel. The 15 minutes of ball python documentary. You're definitely going to want to check that out. We are going to be giving away 100 DVDs and 100 signed posters from everybody that was in the movie. So Donato was just here today doing his signatures. Brian's coming over next week, and then it's going down to Antoine, Justin, Shane, Courtney, and Steven. So it's going to be a fun little thing, and we're just going to randomly pick people, to get those, and we're paying for shipping and everything else. So we're going to, give away 100 DVDs and 100 signed posters. So, all right, I will see you, probably on the 1st. Me and Courtney are going to be on Late to the Mic on December 30th. Or no, November 30th. Yeah, why would it be December 30th? That's after everything's going. We're gonna be on Late to the Mic, so go to them and subscribe or do whatever you got to do. And yeah, yeah, well, whirlwind press tour we've been doing this month. So, all right, guys, take it easy. I will see you on the 1st. Bye bye.